Since you got on the call, kind enough to share with me that your goal is to focus on sellers, and yet you're doing a buyer's event.
That I need to do. I have the wrong mindset in that aspect because mine is like, let me keep focusing on the expired role play and like all these role plays so that I can get a lead at least. And then I'll focus on the listing presentation when it's time, which is the wrong mindset. And I should practice it no matter what.
I did expireds a lot, especially 2008 to like 2013. They started to dry up because the market improved, but now we got a lot of expireds in Orlando. So talk to me, since, it's just the two of us, how can I help you? What's going on in your business? What's going on in your life? Do you want to start off with a win?
Sure. I got a application for a rental approved. So that's exciting for the two girls I've been working with.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what you're saying then is you found them a rental, correct?
Yeah, I found them a rental.
Good. And is that part of your business? You help people find rentals as well?
Well, where I live, it is a very big rental area.
Are you in Hoboken?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a lot of condos, a lot of rentals, and everyone wants to come to Hoboken, Jersey City area. So these were a referral. I helped them out, and hopefully they're going to send me some of their friends that are looking as well. So
That's awesome. Everybody wants to be in Hoboken because the view is better there than from Manhattan.
definitely.
That's what I heard anyhow. I can't. What else?
That's really it. I was working an event that I was thinking of hosting,
Mhm.
but I just have to check in with Jess to see if, she wants to be there with me and host it. So more so on the timing of when I would host it. And after being at the summit, what I came back with was everyone was like, "Oh, your boyfriend's, a police officer. Like tackle them, work with them, see where you can go with that." So I wanted to provide them with like two options for if they wanted to purchase a home on how to get like a lower interest rate. So you have the credit union option, and then you have cross county mortgage. They specialize with the law enforcement, first responder loans. So
Mm-hmm.
those two could be tailored to them to give them a lower rate in
Mm-hmm.
this high interest rate world that we live in. So I wanted to tackle that. And then I asked some of the guys like if they would be interested in attending that. And they said definitely, but to tailor it more so on how to get those rates, but also how to buy investment property.
Well, can they get those rates on investment properties?
That's something I would have to check with the mortgage lender that I'm not sure of. I would assume so if you're going conventional, it's still tailored. Not all of them are FHA affiliated, so
Right.
I would hope so in especially on the mortgage end with the law enforcement program.
So I guess if there's a law enforcement program, from what I'm aware of, I know here in like Orlando, in this area in Florida, is it geared towards just helping first responders or
Basically, it's all tailored, like it's a tailored program to each one based off their salary, their debt to income ratio, all those things. But he claims that he can get at least five and a half in
oh
most
wow.
situations. Yeah. If anything, like really low six.
Right?
Um, so that's what he claimed. And then I know that I was talking to a few of the guys, and they said that there's like a state credit union that we now have, and those rates you just can't beat. But you have to join the credit union and you have to like give monthly, I think, investments into it.
Or deposits.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something I'm looking into and figuring out how to put it all together, like to give them the investment end that they're looking into. Because there's a lot of young guys that recently joined. They hired a lot of people. And then
Okay.
they have another hiring process, I think, out right now.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your business. Are you focusing on buyers? Are you focusing on tenants? What is
Honestly, at this my main focus I wanted to do was listing, especially from the 3 years that I've had my license, even though it was part-time, that's all the experience I ever had was listing. So I kind of wanted to stay that route, being that I knew what I was doing. But calling on expireds here is like cutthroat. I call all the way back to October of last year, and they either just don't answer or they answer and they automatically know why I'm calling. And they're like, no, not interested. Like, we're not listing our home. And so it's like I'm not getting anywhere on the expired ends. So I need to like venture out onto like circle prospecting, which I was doing. I was getting leads, but those leads they're not looking to really sell in the next few months to a year. So they're not like great leads.
Well, so here's a question for you. In the leads that you are getting from circle prospecting, how are
Hmm.
you determining who goes into uh, your lead follow-up system? Do you have like a criteria for leads to go into your
Well,
follow-up?
I'm counting them all as contacts, but I do ask them, have have you considered, selling in the near future, a few months to a year? If they say no, I'm like, okay, well, if you were to sell, what would that time frame look like for you? 5 to 10 years out, do you have a kid in school that you're waiting for? Like I kind of like pick their brain a little bit. And
Right.
then if it's like 5 to 10 years out, then I just put them in as a contact and then I'll just touch them maybe once a year.
Are you finding opportunities?
Not really. Yeah.
And you've been doing this for 3 years, right?
Well, part-time. I just fully invested full-time with Jess when I signed on with EXP end of October, November.
Okay.
So I'm still figuring it all out.
November. So you've been doing this about 4, maybe 5 months.
Yeah.
Have you considered what other lead sources? So you've been doing listed just sold or like you say, circle prospecting. Some of those can become good leads. If you'd like, I can go over what ideally I've got determined 5 criteria of what a nurture should have. Or would it be more helpful if you and I talked about other lead sources for sellers? Because it sounds like you're wanting to focus on sellers. Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be my dream is if I could just be on the seller's end.
Okay. If you're wanting to focus on sellers, is there a reason that you would choose to do a buyer workshop?
I don't, that's a very good question. I don't know because I was just figuring let me target them. And then if it's at this point, I'm desperate for anything. So I know a lot of them they just bought homes. So going on the seller end wouldn't be beneficial. And they probably already either knew of the credit union and the programs or they didn't. But either way, at this point, it's too late for them. So I don't know. I mean, that was just a thought that came into mind because everyone just kept saying like use your boyfriend and the PD and everything like that. So that's what came into mind. I wouldn't know anything about seller end, so maybe you can help me there on like.
Okay, so let's think about this. Let's brainstorm a little bit. If you
Hmm.
you just shared with me that the demographic of the younger police force
Hmm.
would be more geared towards purchasing.
Yeah.
Which demographic of the police force would be more geared towards selling?
Now I don't think many, not now anyway, because the ones that are on, they all have kids. Like most of them have kids who are in school, so they're not looking to sell yet. You do have a few that retire, but they all have a secondary home. So they just travel back and forth to their secondary, not necessarily looking to sell. I think there's more on that end, more buying.
Can I ask, how did you determine what you just said? In other words, you don't think any of them want to sell. How did you determine that?
I have well, because of my boyfriend, like I'm friends with most of them, and I like always talk to them, and we're always talking about real estate and stuff. Some of them I'm personally close with, so I did give them calls and I picked their brains to see kind of what they thought of it too, and like, is anyone looking? And that's just how I came to that assumption, just based off of talking to half of them.
So you've talked to a lot of them. In all reality, though, you don't know for sure. if they're one of them's having a baby and now all of a sudden they need a 4 bedroom instead of a 3 bedroom, or a 3 bedroom instead of a 2 bedroom, those are options for people to be selling, and not only selling, but buying.
Right.
So what if you were to, how could you find out how much interest there actually could be, especially going into the spring selling season?
Right.
When kids are about to get out of school, now is the time, if that's going to happen, that somebody would be doing something. Does that make sense?
Total sense. Yes.
So, I mean, would you rather do a seminar slash workshop that's geared towards sellers, or would you rather do one that's geared towards buyers?
I guess sellers, because that's the end goal for me of what I wanted. Yeah.
What's to stop you from doing that? And then even if you don't get the results that you're looking for, at least you'll know you've proven
Mm-hmm.
it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Since you got on the call, I heard you were kind enough to share with me that your goal is your goal was to focus on sellers, and yet you're doing a buyer's event.
Yeah. You're right.
All right. Did you meet at the Do More Deal Summit? Josh,
Yes.
you know,
I love that. That's how you described him, the Trump impersonator.
right. Yeah. I mean, he helped Aaron do seminars where Aaron has sold, product on those seminars.
Yeah, he's really good at that.
What if you were to reach out to Josh and say, this is who I'm wanting to attract. Any suggestions for me? I know John would have a call with you, or Josh, excuse me. I know
Yeah,
Josh would have a call with you. Do you have his contact information?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. I hope you don't mind me reflecting that to you, because
No, not at all.
Jenna, there's no reason why you shouldn't get what you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we focus on is what's going to make that difference. So, can I ask you a couple of questions? Because you and I haven't talked about this before. Like, when you get a seller lead, do you have the prequal? Have you been working on the prequal, role playing the prequel,
Mm-hmm.
the listing presentation, Aaron's listing presentation?
That I haven't done yet.
Okay.
That I need to do, but I have the wrong mindset in that aspect because mine is like, let me keep focusing on, the expired role play and like all these role plays so that I can get a lead at least. And then I'll focus on the listing presentation when it's time, which is the wrong mindset. And I should practice it no matter what. So I definitely need to do that.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Since Aaron has been coaching me, I'll tell you, learning that presentation has just changed my experience as an agent. Prequal
Hmm.
and that presentation. Most importantly, I'll just share with you, I tend to have a get ready to get ready to get ready to get ready type, as opposed to doing it. And
Hmm.
it took me a while, but the sooner that you can get this. Is it possible that because you don't have the listing presentation down, that might be why you're focusing on rental clients and buyers? Could that be part of it?
No, like the rental came to me as a referral. Someone asked me to do it, so obviously
Okay.
I was for it. And rentals, they don't take too much of my time. I just send them what's available, find interest, I'll show you kind of thing. And then I also do want, was thinking of targeting actual furbos, um, because I am still on the listing end of it. And um, I don't know if you know Brett Sikora. He has like an office in town here in Hoboken.
Okay.
He's with EXP.
Okay.
And I just happened to talk to him the one day, and he said one of his suggestions was that call Furbos, explain to them that like we're doing it as a service to them, just to get more exposure, and that we do the whole process of, screening the tenants from start to finish and finding them. They don't have to do anything. We do it all for them, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not responsible to pay us the broker fee. It comes from the tenant. Um, Eventually, if the whole, the building or the condo, whatever it is that they're renting becomes like too much for them, eventually they'll just call me and say, hey, it's time to sell. So he said that's kind of why to go that rental route, because I am in a big rental area.
Mm-hmm.
Go that route, try to work with the Furbos. Eventually they'll call you to list it, and then that's how you can get listings that way. So I was thinking of, I am tackling Furbos as well, but I don't know what you use. I use Vulcan, and then I use, I don't know if you know, Brett Sikora. He has like an office in town here in Hoboken. He's with EXP. And he I don't know what you use. I use And for some reason, the the Vulcan, when I went on there and I was like looking to call on them, they were already taken down off Zillow or expired, or they were not even up there
So the
anymore.
data is not current.
I don't think so. I was having a really hard time. I was getting some of them to answer and say like, yeah, it's still listed, and like I was able to have a conversation with them. But most of them for my area, I would call and they're like, no, it's no longer available. I already rented it. So I was like, okay, why is this still in the system then? So
Right.
that was a little frustrating on my end that I've been dealing with.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like that could be an option. I
Yeah,
guess for me, I've always tried to make my trek to a listing as short as possible. And
yeah.
for me, that's been probates.
So I was having that conversation with Nicole. I don't know if you met her. She's on Jess's team as well. And we were having that conversation down at Summit, and she was like, I think we would be great at doing probates. She goes, because we have like the motherly instinct. We can sympathize with people. And she took Erin's course, and she was like, I think we should do it. But I just I haven't looked into that yet. Is you really think that's the way to go, right?
I listed in 2023, I listed 26 probates. So, people in those situations, the personal representatives, they've, quite frankly, they've inherited a job in addition
Mm-hmm.
to their loss. And,
Right.
as much of an honor as it is to be asked to be someone's personal representative, they've inherited a full-time job and they need help. And those people really want to sell.
So that's been more successful than expireds, right?
Well, I did expireds a lot, especially
Hmm.
2008 to like 2013 or 14. And then they started to dry up because the market improved. But now we got a lot of expireds in Orlando. So I've just started to focus on expireds again. Because like
Hmm.
daily, we're getting like 20 to 35 expireds.
I'm
And they're,
lucky I get two or one.
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you spoke to, because I know Dan knows Hoboken really well.
Hmm.
What I might suggest is talk to Dan about how many probate leads he's aware that people are able to come up with in that area.
Well, I know he just started tackling probates not too long ago because he used to be a big expired guy and he
Okay.
just started tackling them.
Okay. So talk to
Yeah.
him. In my experience, when people want to do something, they want to do something.
Hmm.
The key factors in probates are obtaining the information, getting their phone numbers, and then calling them, knowing
It's
what to
is it
say.
hard going into the courthouse and getting them? Is it that part's tricky, right?
Well, I mean, it was years ago that I started to do it, but since then, all of the counties that I'm involved in are available online.
Okay.
So you got to check and see how they're available. And I've got a friend of mine, I sang with her at the Orlando Opera. She wants to work from home because she has kids and she loves that she can get all this information for me and she does it weekly. Because she does it all from home, she can get online and get it all. Then she sends it to my VA. My VA uses Forewarn. You're familiar with Forewarn, huh?
I don't have it, but I've heard of it.
It's well worth it. It's $20 a month. You can get anybody's phone number and you can get anybody's address. You can get their address from their phone number. You can get their phone number from their name, town, and zip code. So you can get the phone numbers. Then I have my VA load them into Mojo and I dial them one at a time. If you're going to do that, you should start working on this all along. Do you have this typed out?
Yes.
You do.
That's
Okay.
Aaron's listing presentation, right?
Yes.
Yep, I have that.
Okay, good. Do you have someone that you can do it with? All right.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
I would take it section by section. Because, and I've also, if you're going to do it with someone, I would record your voice doing it. Or, like when I was on my coaching calls with Aaron, I would record him doing it. And then I would just listen to it in the car. I would listen to it instead of the news. I would listen to it while I'm showering. I would listen to it all the time. And then I would also read and chant it. I mean, you've probably done that with your other scripts.
Oh yeah, I do it in the shower all the time.
Okay. Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
loudspeaker because you got to hear it over the water, and I'm just listening to it, and then I'm saying it because, that's just like, time that I'm not doing anything anyhow.
Hmm.
So, but the sooner that I understood this and the logic behind it, there's 7 closes in this before you even get to the pricing presentation.
Oh
So
wow.
so you're closing them 7 times. I had a hard time with those closes to begin with because it's not my nature. I to wanted to close. And as soon as I started using those closes, I started understanding where people's heads were. It made the presentation go so much more efficiently. And now I wouldn't do it without it. So,
All right. That's my
yeah,
homework for the week.
yay. How many times will you do it? I mean, are you going to start doing it daily? Let's talk about a SMART goal. What does that look like for you?
Daily, I'll do it as often as I do it with my role play scripts.
Okay.
This I'll probably do in the evening. Because I role play in the role play group in the mornings.
Yep.
So I'll probably do this like afternoon, evening with another role play partner.
Okay, good. And then the other thing you might consider is as you're doing it, set a timer. And do like say just say I'm going to do 20 minutes because what would throw me off, Jenna, and I don't know if this is true for you, but my brain would be like, "Oh, I don't have time to do this right now."
Hmm.
But if I set a timer, then it kind of quiets my mind. It kind of gets it to just take a back seat so that I can focus on it. And then I would read it just as fast as I can to just get the words in. And sometimes I might be able to get through it 2.5 to 3 times in 20 minutes, just reading it as fast as I can, just to internalize it. And then I got to tell you, when you know what you're going to say next, you can listen so much more. Freddie, are you using the listing presentation?
Yes. Well, I'm most of the leads that I have right now, most of the clients, they are pretty much people that I know, so it's easier. But I actually use them most of the time. Correct.
The listing presentation.
Yes, like when I go inside, of course, I'm excited that I'm going to the property. I actually asked them if that's okay if I can because most of these properties had been renovated. I do ask them, is that okay if I can take my shoes off or if that's okay if I go with my shoes? And I did ask them, how nice the property had been renovated. And pretty much we go by, following up pretty much the script. So not the way that Aaron will do it, but that great. But yes, I try to use as much as possible.
What's important to you about not doing it the way that Aaron would do it?
Well, that was my mistake for not like you were actually. I was hearing the conversation, probably not practicing and taking to the next level. That'll be the main thing, and that's something that we're working on. We are making phone calls from since we actually came from the retreat. We may have 2 more listing appointments that I'm actually helping Mayra. One of them we call a for sale by owner in Titusville. And Saturday, we're going to be actually talking to see if we can make an appointment to list that property. We're working with another for sale by owner that is from Orange City. That's 5 acres that they're selling. I just put pending one in another listing that I have that is a 6 acres. And I'm just pretty much telling them that the same way that I help this other client, I can help them.
Good.
So this had been going along, like I was actually, telling you, using this plus the synergy of being in touch with agents like you, like the other agents that they were in the retreat, or even in these calls, help us to be with that momentum, with that energy, and making the calls, going to the appointments, bringing the good energy. And I'm kind of happy for that. I was telling you that we had 6 listings. Now we're actually 4 because 2 went pending, and we're looking in getting by next week 2 more. So we're actually in that momentum.
Good.
So, but I also called Gabriela last week. I asked her to please include me into the role play for the prospecting. So I think starting next week, I should be on the role play, practicing the scripts as well, because that
Good.
was one of the things that are important for me.
There's 4 ways that we can increase our business, and I'm going to give you the first 2 because you guys are working on them right now. Increase leads,
Mhm.
then increase conversion. You both are working on increasing conversion because you're doing role play. And gosh, I got to tell you, the sooner you guys can get this listing presentation script down, life gets wonderful as a real estate agent. It becomes a lot more fun. So, okay, with that said, any other questions, concerns, comments, ideas that I can help you all with?
No, you've been helpful today for sure.
Oh, yay. Awesome. Last year, I've been selling real estate for 23 years. It was the first year in probably 20 years that I did not create a business plan. We went from 6.5 million transactions in 2023 to 3.9 million. And so why do I share with you this failure that I made? My business last year, it cost me money to be in business. Even though I closed, I don't know, 12 million, and I had a buyer's agent that closed 4, it cost me money because how much energy do I have to spend for me to get a wave?